I was never a huge fan of the Mario Kart games. I liked the one on the Super Nintendo and definitely enjoyed Mario Kart 64, which made this go-kart spin-off series a smash hit in a long list of smash hits by Nintendo. More go-karting followed on each console after that, but as the series went on, especially after Mario Kart Wii, it started to get stale. Especially because they kept arbitrarily increasing the chances your race would be ruined by the powerful items randomly distributed to each player. I'm eventually going to get bored if it feels as if how you play doesn't matter too much when you have blue shells coming at you at the finish line from all directions. No, I was a much bigger fan of Nintendo's other racing game series. No, not Wave Race, F-Zero, of course! I'm Efring225, and I welcome you to the first in a series of 5 videos celebrating F-Zero for its 30th anniversary. F-Zero for the Super Nintendo is a futuristic racing game developed in the span of a little more than a year, and I'm pretty sure the name is a play on Formula 1. F1, F-Zero, makes sense to me. F-Zero was a launch title for the new console, and it uses the new Mode 7 graphical technique, which allows backgrounds to be scaled and rotated, which F-Zero uses for the actual racetrack, demonstrating the absolute power of the Super Nintendo. The Sega Genesis had blast processing, but the Super Nintendo was just gorgeous to look at on its own. Mechanically, the game is a very simple racer. You can accelerate, brake, turn, and lean your car to turn more sharply. Each course is littered with obstacles to slow down or even damage your car. What sets the game apart from other racers is how positively extreme everything is. The tracks in this game are actually several tens of thousands of feet above ground, with the actual cars using what the manual calls gravity diffusion technology to make the cars hover, which you might recall was also the same tech that let the R-Wings in Star Fox fly. These machines also go extremely fast, up to a maximum of over 500 kilometers per hour. F-Zero is one of those Nintendo games that goes the extra mile to not only make the game fun to play, but fun to imagine. F-Zero would lose a good amount of its charm if these were normal cars. Instead, we're going at lightning speed, blitzing through the game's futuristic setting. There's more than a game here. F-Zero created a world. I mean, look at the game manual for starters. It actually included a small comic strip explaining the setting and characters, and introduced gaming to the legendary hero, Captain Falcon, who is a part-time bounty hunter in addition to being really awesome at racing. Despite his car being actually pretty subpar compared to the other racers, oddly enough. Falcon's much more well-known, however, for his appearances in the Nintendo crossover fighter Super Smash Bros., but you might not know a thing about Captain Falcon outside of that, because he and the other drivers never actually appear in the original game at all. Okay, fine, Falcon is mentioned in the game's ending, the US version anyways, and I suppose the drivers are all on the cover, but in actual gameplay, you never see them! You only see their cars. Then again, what else about a man matters besides his car, am I right? Racing games may not need emphasis on world building, but they went and created a world for you anyways. 15 tracks are playable in F-Zero, spread across a number of locations. There's the futuristic metropolis of Mute City, the 3 tracks of which begin every Grand Prix, each at a different time of day no less. There's the big wide ocean of Big Blue, an ocean of another kind, Sand Ocean, Silence, so named because no life exists there, Port Town, which is a trade center and the home of Captain Falcon, the criminal hideout of Red Canyon, the cold snowfields of Whiteland, the perilous storms of Deathwind, and the setting of the grand finale, the lava-flooded wasteland known only as Fire Field. And these tracks do not mess around. F-Zero is a tough game for beginners. There are 3 difficulty levels, and even on the lowest difficulty you need a baseline level of skill to get through the later tracks without exploding. The courses are littered with dirt areas, landmines, ice, walls to slam into. Anything and everything can blow you up as you're trying to speed through it. Made worse are the random orange cars that seem to be just there to ram into you, and some of them even explode. Deathwind stands out in particular for having the harsh winds push your car around in addition to everything else trying to blast you. Whiteland and Red Canyon feature plenty of jumps that allow you to cut corners at the risk of falling off the track, and Fire Field, well, it has everything, and it's the longest course in the game, making it a horrifying survival challenge. On Expert Mode, oh man, now you have to worry about the enemy cars slamming you off the track right before a critical jump, and you not only need to survive the course, you have to play it extremely well. You can earn extra chances by collecting enough points for placing high in the rankings, which will come in handy when those annoying orange cars the game seems to generate at random start exploding. The King League on Expert Mode is one of the toughest challenges of classic F-Zero, and if you beat it, it's still not over, because if you beat Expert Mode, you unlock Master Mode, where the opponent's vehicles all have maximum top speed, even if the same car can't get that high when it's under your control. 4 playable vehicles are included in the original game. Captain Falcon's Blue Falcon is a beginner vehicle with decent speed and very easy to control. The Golden Fox, piloted by Dr. Stewart, is quick to accelerate but has little durability. The Wild Goose is highly durable but hard to control thanks to its hot-blooded alien pilot Pico. And the Fire Stingray is the fastest car in the game and therefore the best. It's piloted by Falcon's rival, Samurai Goro, otherwise known as Pink Grandma. All this is set to one of the most legendary soundtracks in gaming. The theme of the Big Blue track has become an iconic song. It and the Mute City theme have been in every F-Zero game going forward. Well, except for one, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Fun fact! There were 2 composers for the original F-Zero. One of them wrote the Big Blue theme, the other wrote every other song. I kind of feel bad for that guy. Big Blue gets most of the acclaim, even though every other song is great to listen to. My personal favorite is the music for Whiteland. When I first played, I was disappointed to find out that the 2 Whiteland courses are played back-to-back, until I heard the music. Whiteland 2's music is actually remixed to be twice as epic, and it's a tough course, so the music is twice as fitting. Being the first in the series, however, the original F-Zero has a few issues that make it just a tad tougher to go back to compared to other games. For example, there's really nothing to the racing part of it beyond getting through the course without exploding, and coming in at least 3rd place. Yeah, for some reason where you finish doesn't matter as long as it's above 3rd. This is similar to Super Mario Kart where you needed to place at least 4th, but you still had to earn points for your trophy at the end. Since you race 5 laps on every course, it can feel just a tad repetitive as well, as some of the courses are lengthy and pretty much make their point after 3 laps. Also, if you're good at evading obstacles and the other cars, then there isn't much more you can do to play better. Optimizing your time in the game's time attack requires turning as little as possible and really cutting the corners in order to shave off fractions of seconds. Every time you complete a lap, you're given a super boost that lets you give your vehicle a short burst of speed for about 5 seconds. You can use them once per lap or conserve them for future laps, but that's really the only other action you have besides driving. High-level gameplay of F-Zero basically amounts to getting the Fire Stingray to max speed, and then keeping it there for as long as possible, because there's no way to go faster with the other cars. The developers must have realized this, so they threw in another obstacle in the form of randomly generated orange cars that serve as additional obstacles. Whose cars are those, and why do some of them explode on contact? Other questions players have asked is why only 7 of the 15 courses can be played in the solo practice mode, and why times from both Grand Prix and practice are recorded in the time attack rankings. F-Zero is a crazy game. It's intense, action-packed, has an amazing soundtrack, and demonstrated the power of Nintendo's newest console. But believe it or not, the story doesn't even end there. Over in Japan, Nintendo was inventing yet another innovative new technology, the Satellaview. This add-on for the Super Nintendo, released exclusively in Japan, allowed players to download and play games via a satellite, making it a predecessor of sorts to digital distribution services. Although because it's a satellite, in order to find the game you wanted to play, you had to download it at whatever time it was being broadcast, like a TV show. And not all games were downloadable, some could only be played during that hour. Some games had another twist to them: voice acting.
Welcome to Queen
F-Zero was one of the games to be playable through the Satellaview. For 1 hour each week for a whole month, players could play through 4 courses from the original F-Zero, as well as a brand new unique course each week as an added bonus. There were 4 new vehicles to choose from that have never been seen in any other F-Zero game. They are the Blue Thunder, the Luna Bomber, the Green Amazon, and the Fire Scorpion, and they do have different attributes from the original game's cars. The player would then have a chance to practice the first 4 tracks alone, and then they'd be off to the races, having to face the all-new track of the week blind. Online footage of this is the only way to experience the game again in its original format. And apparently there were plans for even more new tracks, but something put the brakes on that plan. Anyways, accompanying the player on this adventure is legendary voice actor Bucky Koba and his hilariously awful English.
Go for it, Bobby! Don't worry, you'll be okay next time. This machine's gonna work.
You'll also notice the remix music accompanying the gameplay. Unfortunately, these aren't part of the actual game. It's an audio stream being played in time with the gameplay, so as cool as the music sounds, there hasn't been a clean rip of it found yet, though it bears a few similarities to the F-Zero Jazz album. Anyways, the Satellaview F-Zero series looks amazing, even if it is just old tracks with new vehicles, a novelty if nothing else. Fortunately, there does exist a standalone download called F-Zero 2, which contains the new tracks and the new vehicles, so you can try them all out yourself. They're actually quite a lot of fun. I find it very strange that these haven't been re-released at all, though. You'd think after releasing Star Fox 2 with bug fixes on the SNES Classic, they'd do something similar for F-Zero 2, but apparently something makes them not want to. F-Zero is a classic, definitely worth a shot if you're into intense racing action. The only thing it's missing, really, is multiplayer. If you're into mods, there is a special emulator called F-Zero Versus that enables online multiplayer for F-Zero and any ROM hack of it. And there are a few of those as well. Naturally, however, this wasn't the end for official F-Zero content, and who could have predicted just how wild this high-speed racer could get in a sequel? Next time we move to the Nintendo 64 and see the sequel to F-Zero in glorious 60 frames per second.